Welcome to episode of Potion Sword Run. It's Original Seed coming at you from my living room. Now, recently I made a video talking about the Intellivision Amico. And there was a throwaway comment where I mentioned that I never got the Intellivision Amico because that console was for losers. And I'm not a loser. Before we begin, again, do not like this video. I am still wanted for stealing my neighbor's cats. They keep on knocking, and I won't let them in. Well, like I said, it was just a throwaway comment. Most of the time when I make these type of videos where I'm talking in front of the camera, I don't really write things down. Yes, I mull over them. I think about them, what I want to say, the direction I want to take the video, just a general message overall. But sometimes I just make shit up from the top of my head, and I call the Intellivision Amico a loser console. Now, it hurt some feelings, and I understand it, you know what I mean? Because these consoles, we hold them dear to our hearts. And especially me calling them a loser, or the console a loser, makes you feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? That you're associated by being a loser because you got the console as well. So therefore, I'm calling you guys losers. And that's something that I would not do. In fact, I want to tell you a story about a group of so-called losers. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, we have stuff in common. Video games, nerd cultures, we have stuff in common. However, the way that we present ourselves, the way that we live our lives, the groups that we associate with in our normal day lives are definitely different because we live different lives. And the way that I grew up a little rough and tough, broken family, stuff like that. So I had a lot of free time to myself. Grew up in the streets, gangs and stuff like that. And, issues that people in my neighborhood had. So when I went to school and I grew up with people in my neighborhood, and that's what brought us together was proximity. And some of us played video games, but mostly we got together because they were my neighbors, There were 3 houses down from me. Our group of kids grew up together as friends, and we had to represent our little area. Same with other little groups of kids and little pockets of the neighborhood. It's just the way it was. So when we went to high school and grade school, we kind of stuck together. And it was just the proximity that brought us together. Obviously, like I said, I was brought up a little bit rough and tough into the gang culture and stuff like that with my family members. And and my friends were jocks, big football players. They also played basketball. But that's something that I wouldn't do because I was just a little too small. I just didn't like it. It wasn't my thing, but I would watch them, hang out with them, we do that at the park. So, we're friends, so we played, kick the can together, tag, stuff, we were friends, neighborhood friends. But it was proximity that brought us together. And we weren't losers. Like I said, we weren't necessarily the most popular ones, but we were in the trend, let's just say, you know what I mean? Because football players, basketball players, people that, we just weren't losers, just like, I'm not trying to say that people are losers, but we just weren't, supposedly we were popular. But that's the thing. The thing that brought us together was proximity. Now, when I went to college, what I started seeing, and even in high school, but I didn't pay too much attention to it, was group of kids or pockets of people that got grouped together based on their interest. I would see them, because I went to college, solo, renegade, because after college, you don't really hang out with your friends like you did in the neighborhood as you did before. But I would see these kids, I'll be going to class, or I'll be going into the cafeteria type of structure, whatever. They'll be hanging out in big old pockets and circles, busting out their Game Boy Advances or Game Boys, just playing video games. And these guys were the nerds, the losers growing up in high school. They were the loners, the ones that didn't quite fit in. that being said, my group of people allowed everybody in. I kid you not. Our school was predominantly Hispanics school. My friends were, my neighbors were black, and those were my best friends. But we also took in some other guy, Kenny. He was one of those white boys that you, where he tries to be tough, but he's not, and he always gets his ass beat. But we took him in because he needed somewhere to belong. And we thought, what the hell, he can belong with us. And after that, he was a ride or die forever. And so when I see him to this day, once in a while, it's like one of those things like, hey, Kenny. Anyways, the thing is, even though we allowed everybody into our group, it's intimidating to go out of your comfort zone and try to belong to other groups. So when I saw these group of kids come together based on their interests and not based on proximity, that's something that I wanted so much, yes, they would not be the ones that would go on dates and be talking to girls or go to parties and stuff like that. Sure, there may be some, little gamer girls in there with their DS and stuff, but we know what type of people they were. They're the type of people that are now maybe popular on YouTube with their big old video game channels. But the reason why I mentioned them is that at the time I knew I wouldn't fit in with them. But I believe that if I were to ask them if I could join their circle and bust out my freaking Nintendo DS and try to join their little clique, I believe they would have let me. This time around, when I talk about the Amico and the Amico community, that's me, instead of walking past them when I was back in college, when I wanted to go over there and join them and ask them, hey, can I play video games with you guys? Can I discuss this culture with you guys? Can I be part of this interest, this group? Because that's kind of this passion that I have, and I have nobody to talk to about it. Instead of being that person and just walking by them and just wanting to be part of the group, this time I asked. I talked about what I want to talk about. I joined the community. And for the most part, I'm going to say both the Amico, the Amico fans and the Amico doubters have accepted me into their little communities. And I accepted them also in return into my community. And the thing is, I'm not a loser. And I wouldn't associate myself with losers. So you're not a loser either. But even if we are losers, I am proud to be a loser with you. A lot of you guys are very, very talented. And you guys don't get the credit you guys deserve. On both sides, we have musical talented people. We have DJ C, who obviously has talent when he's talking about, when he's making all these beats and video game songs. Obviously has talent. We have Tommy Oyomiko, who obviously has talent too when he makes his music. We have doubters who are funny beyond belief. We have fans who like to spill that drama, and they create this whole community about it. But it's like fun and interactive, and that's what it's all about, just being creative around a certain subject that is interesting to us, that brings us together from all walks of life. And if you felt that I was calling you a loser because you liked the Intellivision Amico, nah, that was just me spliffing. And that's it. That's gonna do it for this episode. Remember, when shit's a fan, run.